And welcome everybody to the 44th episode of the Hashtag Invest This podcast. I'm your host, Scott Bauer, and today, very blessed to have my dad on here with RB1 Investments out of Des Moines, Iowa. How you doing, Ron?
I'm doing well. Thanks, Scott.
Good. Give you a little bit of background about him or about the company. The company RB1 Investments is a real estate investment company that's based out of Des Moines, Iowa. Their current primary focus is wholesaling with the goal to expand into flipping properties and building a rental portfolio. Their geographic focus is in and around the Des Moines area, metropolitan area. So with that being said, Dad, why don't you give the listeners a little bit more about your background and what you're focused on now?
Yeah, sure. That's great. So been in corporate and business world for probably 35 years, mostly in technology. Started out, in local area, wide area networking, and just worked my way through that into sales and pre-sales, working for, large telecom companies, local bars, places like that. And recently, within the last 12 months or so, working for a large company. The group I was part of was downsized, and it opened up an opportunity for me to, make a transition from working, with corporate America or for corporate America, and start my own business, which is something I've wanted to do for a long time. And the circumstances worked out for me that I was able to do that. And with some guidance from Scott and his interest and knowledge in real estate, he kind of guided me this direction, and here I am.
Well, we'll definitely talk about that because I think a lot of the listeners out there that aren't, if you haven't started a business yet, if you haven't made that shift or haven't made that transition from working a job in corporate America to going off on your own, it can be very scary. It can be daunting. And so we'll talk about that later in the call. But let's talk about technology a little bit more because, technology is one of those things that has rapidly changed how real estate's done and continues to rapidly change how real estate's done, not to mention, kind of what the future is going to look like in real estate and in business in general. I think about even the MLS or, where the general public goes to look for properties, how much that's changed even in the last 10, 15 years. I mean, it's been drastic. So in your standpoint from the technology field in corporate America, what specifically were you working on? And, could you incorporate that into the real estate space at all?
No, that's a great question, Scott. I guess most recently I was involved in what they call the Internet of Things. You may have heard this if you're at all familiar with some of the wireless companies and some of the things that they're doing with regards to connecting anything from a refrigerator to a stove to your washer and dryer to your home and the home automation that's going on to alarm systems, you name it. And I was involved in the energy and utilities industry where they were putting modules in electric meters to allow utility companies to be able to real-time communicate to electric meters, not only on the side of residential facilities and buildings, but also on commercial, just so they can manage the usage that was going on out there. But behind the scenes, there's always systems that they use in terms of CRM, things like that would certainly apply to what I do today. And I use a CRM system today that I'm very happy with. And again, some good guidance from Scott on that.
Right. And of course, I got to throw it out there that I got him into the Investor Fuse space. Those of you out there that know that I've been part of Investor Fuse since the very beginning and obviously pushed that pretty hard. It's really important, but that's not the point here. The point is that your use of technology in corporate America clearly had a transition into your personal world that you're in now, running your own business, and the use of a CRM is really invaluable. Without it, you're kind of lost.
That's absolutely correct. And I think over the years, having to deal with websites and web integration, spreadsheets and Word documents, dealing with legal aspects of any corporate business, all prepare you for getting into your own business, because those all become very important when you start your own business and getting it set up and making sure you have the right resources and knowing who to go to for what that you need to be successful.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. That's huge. So corporate America, 35 years is a good chunk of time working for the man for a long time. And now you are the man. So let's talk about the transition, because once again, a lot of listeners out there that haven't made that jump, this is a scary and daunting thing. But what was it from a mindset standpoint for you that you decided that, you know what, this is the time, you saw the opportunity and you chased after it? Let's talk about that for a minute. What was that shift?
I don't think there was any one thing that drove that. I think there was a lot of things that have built up over time. This last situation where I was downsized was unexpected. Certainly, there was probably a team of, 30 of us that we all found ourselves in the same situation. And it wasn't anything that we did or didn't do that was a cause. It was just, corporate America doing what they do, making changes. And, when you're out on the line, you're the one that's really affected by that in a lot of large respects. So, just the opportunity through that process and the mindset of going, do I see myself going back into corporate America, finding another position, working for somebody else, and maybe finding myself in the same situation, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the road. And I just, had come to the idea that I just couldn't do it anymore. And I think people get to the point, at least I did, where, it's scary to go out on your own, but it's almost scarier to go back to work for somebody else and have that constant fear of somebody else is really holding my destiny in their hands. And as scary as working for yourself is, my destiny is in my hands now.
Yep. And that's a huge point. Super important for everybody to understand. And most people do. That is the unfortunate part with working for somebody else, is they basically hold the power and they basically get to decide when you're going to work, how much you're going to get paid, when you have time off, how much money you can make, what your potential might be, all of the above, right? And it's just not feasible to do that. And so I want to take this time to really talk about the interconnectedness of technology and how technology has allowed you to start your own business, because I think this is another shift we're seeing in the market where it's easier for people to start your own business based on technology. So with that being said, what tools did you use? Let's let the listeners know, what tools did you use to get started, and how did you make that shift? So once you decided that, hey, I'm going to be a real estate investor, I'm going to follow in my footsteps or whatever, what did you use to get there?
Well, I think in any business that you go into, you have to want to have passion about it. You want to enjoy it, but you also have to be knowledgeable about it. So I kind of followed your footsteps and started working with Real Estate Worldwide, and went through a program there where they basically taught me how to become a wholesaler, and from A to Z. So, and the point of that being is there are a lot of companies, I think, out there that can teach you to do this work. I think it's important that you pick, which ones, fit well with you, and look at it as an investment in yourself, not a cost, but it's an investment into yourself, because you're going to take that knowledge and you're going to apply it to your business, and you're going to apply that to your success. And guess what? You're going to fall down. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to know all the answers, but that's how you learn. That's how you grow. That's how you get better. And fortunately for me, I had, Scott that I could go back to and ask questions, as well as my coach at Real Estate Worldwide that I could ask questions of. And you also build a team of folks around you that you become knowledgeable with, even in your own market, that you can touch base with, whether that's through the local REIA or meetup groups. I go to a real estate meetup group where I meet all kinds of different people and bounce ideas off and build relationships. And that's so important, because what I found, and I've talked to Scott about this many times, I'm constantly learning. I don't know all the answers, and I'm learning something new every day. And that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, it does make it fun. And the reality is that, none of us know all the answers. Shoot, I've been doing this a long time, done a lot of houses, done a lot of different things, yet I still have questions that happen
Right.
almost every day. And so one of the big important pieces when you're starting to go off on your own and start your own business is to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because you're not going to know everything. And that's the reality of it. But to your point with Real Estate Worldwide, so you joined up with Real Estate Worldwide because they gave you the blueprint. They said, okay, here you go. You want to learn how to do it? They laid it out for you, everything you need to know to get started. And of course, it doesn't give you every single piece of information. You got to fill in the dots and the blanks by yourself.
Right.
But it gives you the blueprint. And look at you now. I mean, now you're doing you're wholesaling houses, you're getting stuff done.
Yep.
And that in a very short amount of time too. When we talk about business in general, not very many businesses can be profitable in year one, yet alone, could really start to take off as yours is. So,
right.
And anybody can do this.
I've been fortunate. I've only been doing this since January of this year. I've done 4 deals. And it's been very gratifying. It is a lot of work. I tell everybody this is not a get rich quick scheme by any means. It takes work, diligence, and you've got to watch your expenses, just like anything, just like you're managing your budget at home.
Yep.
But it's very gratifying. I have to tell you.
And, as we talked about earlier in the call here, it's you now have your own destiny in your own hands. So if you decide that you want to go and you want to go on vacation, or you have a trip you want to go on, or you just don't want to work one day, that's your choice.
That's right.
And of course you have to deal with the consequences of that, both good and bad.
Right.
But you have that choice and that liberty to do that. And gosh, what a gratifying feeling. And so now that you're seeing some success, you're seeing that this process works, that Real Estate Worldwide has put you through. I just can't, elaborate enough on, don't reinvent the wheel, everybody. Go find somebody, and we'll add some links in here so that you can click if you want to get involved with Real Estate Worldwide. I'll have some ways for you to do that in the show notes here, but don't reinvent the wheel. Go find somebody who's done it. Find somebody you can team up with, mentor, or get a mentor, whatever it might be, because you're going to save yourself a ton of time.
It helps tremendously. I liken it to a franchise. If anybody's ever looked at a franchise and knows what that's about, and I have looked at them, they give you a blueprint. They go, right, you follow this process and you're gonna be able to accomplish this, because they've been through the process. They know exactly how it's going to work and what it's going to take. And that's exactly what I felt like I received out of Real Estate Worldwide. To your point, Scott, is that blueprint. If you follow these steps, you're going to be successful.
Yep.
But you got to put the work in.
You got to put the work in, right? It can be very, especially with social media, the way social media shows off today. Right. One, people look like they're doing way, way, way better than they necessarily are. And they also make it look very, very easy. I mean, shoot, with these HGTV shows out there now on flipping houses, they make it look really, really, really easy. But that is just not the case. And so when you surround yourself with a support team and somebody like Real Estate Worldwide,
right,
can really benefit and really help you. And there's even things that, we haven't got you involved with yet that I think eventually we'll get there with, getting in a mastermind and getting surrounded by these people constantly. You also brought up a very good point on seeing this as an investment in yourself, because I know at the very beginning when we were talking about it, and it was like you saw the cost of or the dollar figure attached to joining up with Real Estate Worldwide, it was kind of like, whoa, that's a lot. But you're doing this for yourself, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but do you regret doing that, or do you think that was a good?
No, that's a great point, Scott. And I think anybody that goes into something like this or any other business, those things stick in their mind. But I can tell you this right now, I have no regrets on that. I made that investment up in the first deal I did, if you really want to know the truth.
Right. And gosh, what business can you start that happens, right? Very, very few of them out there. Right.
Yeah, the payback has been great. And now I'm just growing and continue to grow the business to your point, to my pace.
Yep.
If I want to take a day off, I take a day off. If I want to work 5 hours one day, I only work 5 hours one day. I pay the price for that, but that's my choice. And, there's a lot of freedom in that. And that was probably another big factor I was looking for in my life. Less stress in my life, not that there aren't stresses in this business, but more freedom to enjoy life and not be so bogged down with the pressures that can come with working for somebody else. And I don't want to knock terribly other people that work for other companies. They provide a great service to communities and to the world, providing employment and so forth. So I'm really not talking, for me, this was a good choice. For others, they prefer to work for somebody else and will continue to do that for the rest of their lives. It was just a choice that I made for me.
Yeah. And I think that you're right. Being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. No. I know, I've talked about entrepreneurship since I can remember, years and years and years. And it's just, I know that you tried to start some other businesses in the past and it didn't work for one reason or the other. But, the important part on that too is you got back up and tried again.
Right.
I think a lot of people just let themselves get defeated and throw in the towel and say, well, I'm not good enough. I can't do this. Whatever. But that's not the case with you. And that led you, after trying several different businesses, that led you to this one. And now we're seeing some success. So that's a good question, or a good segue into my next question. What is your why? Like, why do you want to work for yourself? Because you brought up another good point, is it's not for everybody. And corporate America does provide a good living for a lot of people. But why is that for you?
No, that's a really great question. And I think I may have answered it a little bit earlier is, it's freedom. It's freedom to generate, an income that I want to generate or not. It's the freedom to make decisions that I want to make for my business and how I want to live my life. It's the American dream in a lot of respects. You're right. It's not for everyone, but I guess for me, it really came down to freedom and being able to control my own destiny. Yep. That's probably the key point.
And I think that's all too common for everybody out there. You want to control your time. We have such a limited amount of time on this earth, so why not do with it as you decide, not letting somebody else do that. So, that's huge. What else were you going to say?
Well, the other thing I was going to say is, it's just so fun and to do what you do, even though there's stresses, it's just fun. I enjoy, working with people, and I feel like I've helped some people thus far. I'm new into this. Again, I've only been doing this for 10 months, and I'm just learning a great deal every day, and it's exciting. This is totally different from my background, technology. Even though I use technology in my business, that's not the core of what I do. I'm in real estate. So, that is an exciting situation in and of itself.
It is. It is so exciting. And, the learning just doesn't stop. In some aspects it can feel like repetitive, but you learn something new all the time. And the real estate market is always changing. I think right now we're in a transition period for our market. Yes. Or just for the real estate market in general. We've seen such an uptick for so long that something is going to change. And it's exciting because you just don't know what it is. And I mean, shoot, you've done 4 deals in 10 months. I know my coach and mentor, who happens to be your coach and mentor as well, he took 9 months to do his first one.
Right.
So that's saying something, right? That, the coaching and the mentoring is an important piece about that. So I think that's another good point to talk about for a minute. Coaching and mentoring. What would you say with regards to that? Is it a cost or is it value?
No. I mean, again, this goes back to investing in yourself. So how much do you think you're worth? The coaching that I've received is invaluable, absolutely invaluable, because there's so many, you're going to get into situations where you're going to doubt yourself. You're going to doubt, whether you're doing the right thing, whether you've made the right offer, whether you can sell the property, wholesale the property. someday you're going to freak and go, what have I got myself into? And you're going to start stressing. But you know what? It all works out. What I have to tell everybody out there, have faith in yourself. Trust into yourself, believe in yourself, because you can do it and you can overcome it. And we all have had challenges in our lives, and we've all, up to this point have been able to overcome them. So don't get caught up in the quagmire. I did. And I had to pull myself out of it. So what's the worst that can happen? This is one thing I think I can tell everybody, honestly, that nobody's going to die if the deal doesn't go through. If you're going to be okay. It
certainly feels like that sometimes, though. I'll tell you. I mean, it's like, oh gosh,
it does.
But yeah, you're right. Nobody is going to die, and things will move on, and you'll figure it out, or you'll, either you make money or you learn. Those are the kind of the two things I look at. Either you make money or you learn, and what that means is that even if you fail, you lose a few dollars, or something happens, and you don't close that deal, you don't get paid. Well, you learned why that happened, and that's the important part.
Right. I mean, I have had to go back and tell a seller that, I'm sorry, I can't do the deal, and explain to them why, and lost the deal. It happens. And
it happens.
Was that stressful? Guarantee you I was stressed about that. But, have integrity in what you do, be honest with people you're working with, and just do the best you can.
Yep. And that's huge. So, with that being said, so do you have, for the listeners out there that are really afraid, and maybe what you say is not going to change their mind, but if somebody's afraid to take action, or let's talk about that, I guess, for a second, taking action, what I always say, take action, go do it, go try it, go see if it's going to work. But those of you that are out there that are listening to this, that are trying to make transition and are afraid to do so, how would you respond to that to them?
That's a great point. And I think, you and I have had many discussions about that, take action. First of all, I think it goes back to, again, believe in yourself. You can do this. That's core. And once you believe in yourself and you have a little faith in yourself, then, just take the next step. I know there's a lot of people that have jobs. Maybe they want to do this part-time. Absolutely. Start out part-time. You can do this part-time, but take the steps. Just, if you have to write them out, go, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3, and just do it. Check them off and keep moving forward. When you stop moving forward, that's where you start getting yourself in trouble. And man, I've struggled with that. And, I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but, I'm twice as old as Scott. Let me put it that way.
It's true.
So, you just got to keep moving forward, and you're going to be nervous. You're going to be scared, but again, have faith in yourself, trust yourself. You can do it.
Well, and that's a good point too. There's no age limit or age, where some people, I've talked to some people that have approached me and said, hey, can you coach me? Can you mentor me? How did you get into what you're doing, et cetera? And some of them think that they're too old to get started, or even some people are thought they're too young to get started. I've talked to some really young cats that are hungry and motivated, and they just, they think that they're not old enough. And I can tell you that money doesn't have an age limit, and nobody cares. Money doesn't care about it, and that's really all that that matters. So if you're thinking about doing it, take the plunge. Invest in yourself. Dad, I appreciate you sharing kind of your story, going through 35 years of working in corporate America, and how you finally made the plunge into going to invest in yourself. You got into real estate worldwide, followed the blueprint that they offered you. You've done 4 deals in 10 months. I mean, congratulations. That's huge. I don't think I can express that enough. That is
honestly, and the year's not over.
In the year, that's right. That's right. We're just coming into holiday season, and things will still happen. I'm confident that you'll still probably pull another deal or 2 out this year. So, right. We still got a couple months left. So with that being said, that's a good transition into our lightning round. Are you ready for a lightning round?
Absolutely. Lay it on me.
All right. What is your hashtag invest this tip to keep our listeners moving forward?
I'm gonna kind of go back to what I've said earlier today is, have faith in yourself, trust yourself, constantly learn. Don't get bogged down in the minutia and the details. Always move forward, and you'll be successful. Just hang in there. You're going to have your struggles, your ups and downs, but in the long run, it's going to work out for you.
That's huge. Yep. Appreciate you sharing that. What about, do you have a favorite book that you've read that's had a big impact on your life, business, or both?
There's been several books, and I'm going to keep it more business oriented here, but I think Rich Dad Poor Dad was a really good book. And it really said, I come from pretty humble beginnings. So you think of the Rich Man, Poor Man, if anybody's ever read that, there's two sides to every coin. And so I think I've pushed myself from, the poor dad into the rich dad mindset.
Yep.
And I encourage anyone that's interested in going into business to read that book because it's going to be very encouraging. And I think it'll really open up your eyes to, to not only to yourself, but what you can get done.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's such a powerful book. Matter of fact, I think the first copy I ever read was the copy that was either yours or something I stole from you somewhere. But yeah, fantastic book. Really is the beginning for a lot of people. So thank you for sharing that. Now, who's giving you the best advice and how has that had an impact in your life?
I was thinking about that. So probably from about age 10, I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with my grandmother, and she was a wise old Swede. So there's some things I want to leave with you. Treat others the way you want to be treated, and that's not only true in your personal life, but it's very true in your business life. You want to treat people like you want to be treated, and that's going to take you a long way. Respect isn't given; respect is earned, and so when you conduct your business, do it with integrity, do it with honor, and you will gain a lot of respect. It's going to be beneficial for you as you move forward. And then I think finally, be true to yourself. Just be yourself, and you will come. Your light will shine through. Let me put it that way, and you will do well.
Right. No, those are huge tips. I mean, that's massive. That's massive for sure. So thanks for sharing.
You bet.
How do you like to give back? When you think about, it could be monetarily, it could be helping other people. It could be, in our business, we kind of give back in and of itself, but how do you like to give back?
Yeah. That's something I'm really starting to focus on and think about now. Whether it's through my business and in some degree I do in my business, because I try to be very flexible with my customers, help them out as best I can, and do right by them as well as, the buyers that I work with, and making sure that I'm keeping their interest in mind as I'm working deals. But, doing podcasts like this where I can share my knowledge and experience, as limited as it might be in terms of this business, but I think there's a lot of benefit to that. To your point earlier, there's a lot of people that might want to do this and they're scared and they're nervous, and you know what? It's okay. You'll be okay. It's not the end of the world. Nobody's going to die. And then, as I move forward, I'd like to give back to my community and my choice, whether that's through a local church or maybe through other organizations, Habitat for Humanity, for example, maybe, where, I can give back to them as well, and maybe even start, a mentoring group here locally. I've been asked potentially to speak at a local REIA, so I may do that, things like that.
Absolutely. And that's super important. Any way that you can give back, there's a lot of people, and it's surprising when you start to really find out the truth about people, how many people are out there that are a little bit scared or they just don't know the right path. They don't know the way to get started. They don't know what to do, and they could really benefit. I mean, I'm confident that this podcast is going to have a massive impact on a lot of people because, they're in that same boat and they just don't know what to do. And they see online all these people are so successful and whatever, and they're like, gosh, I just want to get there, and they don't know how. So, with that, that leads us into our the next question here. How can the listeners reach you if they want to learn more about what your story is, or how they can get involved with you, or what your experience is? How can they find you?
Yeah, that's great. So my website is www.rb1investments, plural, LLC.com. You can also reach me by phone. My main company number, 515-393-4042. Or you can reach me via email at ron.bauer, that's BOWER, at RB1investmentsllc.com.
Awesome. Sounds awesome. Well, I will make sure that we add that into the show notes, and I'm confident that you probably will get somebody calling. I want to know more about your strategies and how you kind of got started. And Dad, I appreciate you being here today, explaining your whole story, how you've got to where you're at now. And, obviously the tip to have faith in yourself, to constantly be learning. Obviously a very popular book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, is kind of how you got started to get in that mindset. The advice your grandmother gave is phenomenal. Treat others as you'd like to be treated. I think that's just, without question, one of the best tips to give out. Respect is earned. That's a big point. And, you're doing that with your buyers and sellers and with everybody in the community as you're conducting business and as you're wanting to give back. So, with that being said, all the listeners out there, if you have questions, please reach out to Dad, Ron Bauer, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much, Scott. I've enjoyed it.
Good deal. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye now.